and welcome to WHD Media.
I am Brian, and I am here to talk about my favorite music releases from 2023. This is a top 10 list, but I have some honorable mentions first. Right here, honorable mentions. It's a whole list. I'm going to try to rapid fire get through these as quick as possible. Also, at the end of the video, there will be an image on screen with my top 100 releases of the year. So you could just skip to that and pause it and look through everything instead of listening to my awkward ramblings, but I would appreciate it if you stayed. Anyway, so this is mostly going to be metal, as you can probably tell by the way I'm dressed, but there's a couple other things in here too. First off, the first thing that I'll mention actually, Richard Inman, Life Without Your Love. I think Richard Inman is one of the greatest country artists working today, and this was a really solid release from him. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Sarmat, or Sarmat, or however you say this, Determined to Strike. This is actual death metal, jazz infused music. Unlike a lot of the stuff I've heard, this is not mid-tier death metal with a jazz instrument on it. This is actually written like an infusion of jazz and death metal. It's like both genres mixed perfectly together. Really interesting, really weird. Nordic Winter, This Mournful Dawn. Nordic Winter is one of my favorite depressive black metal bands, and this album was really good. None, Inevitable. None is one of my favorite depressive black metal bands, and this album was really good. Morwinion, Wastelands. This is a little bit more black gazy, a little more on the black gaze side of black metal. And I had been hoping for a new release for them for quite a while, and I was glad to finally get one. Actually, I think it's a one-man band. Might be two people. I will put it on screen now. Is it a one-man band or a two-man band? Why am I talking? It's on screen. Pretty awesome album, and probably my pick for favorite album cover of the year. Afsky? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's another really good depressive black metal band. Little bit of folk instrumentation here and there. 100 are... However you say it, I think it's the best album yet from the band. Botanist, Celentrope. This is like black metal for people who don't like metal. It's actually pretty chill. A lot of clean tones, not a lot of... there's no heavy distorted guitars or anything like that, but there are blast beats. So if that interests you, check this band out. It's really cool. Gosh, there are so many things. Varhara. Whatever this says, I am not intelligent enough when it comes to other languages, so I apologize there, but this is a really cool black metal album, particularly for me, the third track, which features a synth solo over black metal. It's really cool. Next up, we have Blood Incantation with Luminescent Bridge. Most of you, if you're into metal, have probably heard of Blood Incantation. They never clicked for me. The things that I liked most about the band was the logo and the art design on the albums and their merchandise. But this release, just 2 tracks, 2-song EP, absolutely clicked, and I loved it. I think it really shows the strength of the band in both their synth music department and the more, I guess, kind of technical death metal department. It was really cool, and I hope that the band continues making music like this EP. Grot, Beneath the Waves of Eternity. I was a big fan of Grot's first EP, Hymns of the Woodland. It's really great raw black metal. Sounds a bit better this time around than the EP did. Really good album. Really looking forward to more from Grot. Kromheim. This was one I found pretty early in the year. Journey to Divinity. This is kind of like Amon Amarth in that it is Viking Norse mythology themed death metal, but not like Amon Amarth in that it is, while it's still melodic, it's not as poppy in its melodicism. Not that Amon Amarth are entirely poppy sounding, they've got some pretty brutal stuff. But Kromheim maintains a level of brutality kind of throughout the album. Sword and Soul was my favorite song from this record. Really great chorus on that one. So if you want a band that sings about the same stuff as Amon Amarth, but a little bit more hard-edged, a little more brutal, a little more death than mellow death, check out Kromheim. Really great album. Jordan Day, Laid Back and Wasted. Really good kind of country folk EP. I liked it a lot. It pairs well with Richard Inman as well. The Eating Cave, The Miscalculation. This was a really great tech death album. Fantastic instrumentation throughout the whole thing. Great guitars, great drumming. Incredibly blistering release. Love it. Habak and Lagrimus, I might have pronounced those right. They release a split EP. These are both some kind of blackened, D-beat crust punk bands. These two bands, Habak and Lagrimus, are easily my two favorite bands in the genre. And they put out a split together, and it was really great. Love it. Rise to the Sky, 2 Years of Grief. This is some kind of blackened death doom with some funeral doom aspects. Really great guitar leads with some good harmonies. I like the guitar tones on this album. Initially, I wasn't a fan of the main rhythm guitar tone, but it pairs so well with the leads that I, like, instantly, as soon as the leads kicked in, I was like, okay, alright, it makes sense. That's a good tone. All meshes well together. Volkflüster, Unter Brosenen Kronen, a German black metal band, German folk black metal. They're kind of like the German Panopticon in a way. Speaking of which, one of the songs on here is a cover of Panopticon's The Pit, which is one of my favorite Panopticon songs. While I do personally prefer the original folk version, this reimagining of it as a depressive black metal song is amazing. Predictably really good stuff from this band. Next up we have Exolances with Overtures of Uprising. Now this one surprised me. I did not expect to love it as much as I did. It was fantastic. It's black metal with violin, and not just like black metal that occasionally has violin pop up. It's like guitar in this speaker, violin in this speaker. Really, really awesome. It's very beautiful, but it's also very chaotic. Sacred Outcry with Towers of Gold. Now this is one that I had to check out again. And initially it would not have made this list. But I re-listened to the album in January. I think the first or second week of January. I re-listened to it 3 times because I fell in love with it. It was really good. Keeping close to the same genre though, we have Twilight Force with a symphonic power metal that is absolutely one of the funnest records that came out the entire year. At the Heart of Winter Veil, I absolutely loved this album. I listened to it a ridiculous amount of times, and I love the music video for Sunlight Night. That pixel art music video is so cool. Wormhole, Almost Human. It's really fun slam death. Devouring Famine, Haunting Echoes. Devouring Famine put out a few things this year, and they were all really good. I like his style of black metal. By Fire and Sword, Glory. You may have heard of this one. If you haven't, shame on you. It's really good. The vocals have been a little bit divisive for some people, but I absolutely love them. Dying Fetus, Make Them Beg for Death. This is one of the best brutal slam death metal bands I think that has ever existed. Reign Supreme was one of the first extreme metal records that I listened to. I listened to it and Cattle Decapitation's Monolith of Inhumanity back to back. Anyway, this new album, Make Them Beg for Death, is probably my favorite Dying Fetus record. It is super fun. I enjoyed it immensely. Aura, I think, is how you say this band's name. Triad 3, Nyx. The music is predictably wonderful. It's classical music played as black metal. Tribunal, The Weight of Remembrance. This was a really good gothic death doom record, more doom than death, for sure. And heavy on that gothic sound. This is like the perfect encapsulation of gothic music for me. Alright, so that's going to do it for the honorable mentions. Now we will get into the actual top 10. Number 10, Mansion, Second Death. This is a doom metal record that I did not expect to love, but I absolutely did. Like anyone who has a little bit of an obsession with true crime stuff, I am really interested in creepy cults. And this band is entirely focused on a creepy cult. Finnish cult, Curtanism? I had never heard of it, but yeah, sounds really creepy. And yes, I am reading that from Last Seen Before Doomsday. There's a cool thing about the album. Well, I guess technically it's mostly about the actual cult. Really interesting. I recommend this magazine quite a lot. Anyway, Second Death by Mansion. Freaking awesome album. It is very atmospheric. It really feels just creepy and unnerving. And obviously, for a band that's going for that, that is very high praise. This album is just permeated with that feeling. It is mixed super well. I love the vocals. They are a little bit unorthodox in at least comparatively to what I'm used to in this type of music, but they work so well for this band. Definitely check this out if you don't mind slower music, and if you're a fan of true crime and stuff like that, creepy cults, here you go, a creepy cult record. It's fascinating in a horrifying way, very fascinating. And speaking of the last fanzine before Doomsday, the person who has created that zine is the singer of the next band, Smoulder, Violent Creed of Vengeance. I've been a fan of Smoulder for a good while, not since the very beginning. I think it was actually around when Dream Quest Ends came out. I think that's when I first really started listening to Smoulder. And yeah, they're one of my very favorite bands. I'm not always a huge fan of that kind of more classic heavy metal sound, but they absolutely nail it in a way that I think is just perfect. They are pretty influenced by doom metal as well, so it's very epic, very doomy heavy metal. Sarah Kitteringhem, that might be her name. I at least know her first name is Sarah. She is a very divisive vocalist, and I am definitely on the side of loving her vocal performances. I think they are perfect for the lyrical content in the band, as well as just the overall tone and the feel of the music. It fits so well. I'm a huge fan of their work, and this new album, Violent Creed of Vengeance, is easily their best record. The guitar riffs are fantastic, very memorable. The drumming is awesome. It's the best drumming they've had on anything. The bass sounds really good. The mix is just fantastic on the album. I absolutely love it. Wholeheartedly recommend it to classic heavy metal fans and a little bit more of the doomy heavy metal fans. Yeah, definitely check out Smoulder. Really, really great stuff. My number 8 is an EP by a band called Impending Triumph, and the EP is called Impending Triumph. This is kind of in the same vein of Smoulder a little bit. Really, really great epic heavy metal. Performed very similarly. The drums are really great, a lot of double bass, which I like in classic heavy metal. It has a level of heaviness and grit to it that I really, really enjoyed, as well as the melodicism. I really love the choruses in every single song. Very memorable release. Absolutely love it. Definitely check them out. I didn't really hear anything about this band. Yeah, I don't think I heard anybody really talk about this release, but it is absolutely fantastic. Definitely check it out. Can't recommend it enough if you love classic heavy metal. Now moving into something that is a little more my forte. Black metal with Abduction, Toutes, blessent, la dernière 2. I do not speak French, but this is some French kind of medieval black metal that is super melodic. There's a ton of great intertwining guitar melodies, really intense drumming, and the vocals are one of the things that really sell the band for me. I've been a fan of this band since 2021, I think it was, when their album, a concept album about Joan of Arc, was released, and that is still one of my absolute favorite black metal records. This one does not surpass that one for me, but I have a huge nostalgic love for that record as being one of the first black metal albums that I really, really latched onto. Actually, yeah, I have this Abduction patch right here. It's the third patch I ever put on this jacket. Anyway, back to the vocals. They have some really great, kind of like glossy, clean, smooth vocals with some really great harmonies. And they juxtapose that with some of the most intense, harsh vocals that I've ever heard. There is so much emotion put into the performance. It is unbelievable. Any black metal vocalist would be hard-pressed to give as good a performance. In either department, the cleans or the screams, they're both performed perfectly. I'm pretty sure I listened to this album 3 times the day it came out. I'm a huge fan of the band, and I'm super glad they put out another stellar release. The next one you've probably heard of. My number 6 spot goes to Cattle Decapitation with Terrasite. This one's pretty interesting. I like that they went with this kind of daytime horror theme. And the synths on this album really push that feeling. I think it is absolutely perfectly mixed. I love the sound of this album. The guitars are great and crisp. The bass is really chunky and thick. The drums are always amazing on Decapitation albums. Dave McGraw is just a beast. And of course, you can't talk about Decapitation without mentioning Travis Ryan and his insane vocal work. It is insane, once again, on this record. Some of his best performances are on this album, as well as some of his best lyrics. I really, really love The Storm Upstairs. That one, lyrically, is one of my all-time favorite Cattle records. Songs. I'm leaving it in. It's an awesome album. It is full of all the things that we love about Decapitation. I'm not sure where it ranks for me for Cattle albums. Death Atlas is personally my favorite one, but this one might come in second. I'm not sure. It's hard. It's really hard to decide. The last 4 albums have been so good. If somehow you missed this album, check it out. I'm sure most of you watching might just be glad to see it in a top 10 list, because I saw it in very few top 10 lists for some reason. But then again, I disagree with most people's top 10 lists, because I just have different tastes, I guess. Anyways, number 5, Disguised Malignance, Entering the Gateways. What an insane first release. This is some, like, really classic death metal. I think this will go down as, like, one of the best death metal debuts maybe ever. I've replayed this album so many times, and I actually got into it late. It was, like, only a few weeks ago I listened to it for the first time, but I have had it just about on repeat. Absolutely fantastic. Love the mix. Everything comes through really good. The bass is really hefty and really nails that heavy tone. Just fantastic. Every instrument is great. The drumming is awesome. The vocals are really great. I don't know what there is to say that hasn't been said about it. I've heard a lot of praise for this album, and I think it is absolutely deserved. These kids, like, literally, they're so young, outperforming most of the big name death metal albums that came out this year. Absolutely crazy. Love this album. Check it out if you haven't. Number 4, we have Bloedmaan with Castle Inside the Eclipse. This, if you like melodic black metal, you need to listen to this. This is one of the absolute best black metal releases I've ever heard. It's definitely my favorite EP that came out in the year, and one of my favorite album covers as well. But the music is just perfect. It is so wonderfully melodic. The guitars are so memorable. So many good guitar lines. The vocals are performed really well. The blast beats are furious. It is so good. I'm struggling to find the right words to describe how good this album is. It's just perfect. If you like melodic black metal, you will like this. If you like stuff like Aura, this actually kind of reminds me of them a lot, which they were the first black metal band that I actually got into, so that is really, really good if they sound anything like them. And as you can see, I actually put this album above theirs because it is just that good, and that's not saying anything bad against Aura. They're one of my very favorite black metal bands. But yeah, Castle Inside the Eclipse, absolutely phenomenal. Can't wait for more from this band. I think it's a one-man band. Can't wait. Good on you, dude. Put out more stuff. Number 3, I can't decide if this is one of the best or one of the worst album covers of the year. I'm gonna say it's one of the best, though. We have Curta'n Wall with Siege Ubsessed, the absolute stupidest fun I had the entire year. Actually, I shouldn't say stupid, because this music is actually written and, like, arranged so well. It is very smart in the way that it's done. Easily the funnest record of the entire year. I listened to it such a ridiculous amount of times. The title track was my most listened to song in 2023. What an absolutely fantastic chorus. Elvia Dorsimer, I think is her name, sings the chorus, and she pops up a few times on this album. Every time she does, her vocal work is just so good. It is a really, really big addition to this music. I really hope that she collaborates in the future with this project. Every song on here is great. Every single one of them. I just love this album. It's like medieval black metal dungeon synth club music. That doesn't make any sense. This album doesn't make any sense, but it is perfect. I absolutely cannot recommend it enough. It is so much fun. I don't care what music you like. Listen to this album. It is so fun. So that was number 3. So we're ready for number 2, which is my favorite death metal album of the year, Olkoth, At the Eye of Chaos. What an absolutely blistering album. I said it the first time I listened to it, which was pretty early in the year, not too long after it come out. I slept on it for like a month, I think. But I finally checked it out, and I really didn't think anything would be as blistering as that album through the entire year. And I think I was right. There were some pretty blistering albums, but there were none that were as blistering and as memorable for me as Olkoth's. This is like the most Nile album that Nile didn't put out, which is actually pretty cool because the guitarist and vocalist, I think his name is Jake Jeter, something like that. He has joined Nile, I guess, and will be on the next album. So that's really cool. Hopefully there will be more Olkoth, though, because this album is absolutely amazing. The mix is great. Every instrument shines. The drums are so chaotic. They are so fast. The guitar riffs, you can't say enough good things about the guitar riffs. The tone of the guitars, I've never heard a tone sound more like flames. That might not make any sense, but it sounds like fire. It is absolutely just amazing. I love it so much. I'm so excited to have an album like this. The guitar riffs, again, really memorable. The guitar solos also were very memorable. That's kind of important for me. I think there's been too many bands come out that are really great, that have really good technical solos, but they just aren't melodic enough. They aren't memorable enough. And Olkoth is one of those bands, kind of like Nile, where the solos are super memorable, and I really, really, really appreciate that. There are also some really good, strong choruses on this album, too. Not something that you usually talk about with extreme death metal, but there's some really memorable moments. The chorus in the title track is one that I get stuck in my head all the time. So good. Such a good album. Can't recommend it enough. If you like extreme music, check out Olkoth. Really, really awesome. At the Eye of Chaos. And my number 1, which should come as no surprise to anybody who knows me and has seen my shirt collection, we have my favorite black metal band, Panopticon. What an absolute killer album. The Rime of Memory is apparently the second album in a trilogy. It started with the previous album and again Into the Light, which was around when I got into Panopticon. That one came out, actually. I'm a fairly new Panopticon fan, but I am a very huge Panopticon fan. Absolutely love the band. Austin Lunn is a genius. He just is. And this album, it really shows his strength on a lot of levels. His songwriting, his guitar playing, his drumming. He is an absolutely insane drummer. I would say he's the best drummer in black metal. Like, I would not even make it a competition. He's just so good. He plays way too many instruments. He does all this on the record. And then he also collaborated with these fine people, who I should have wrote down their names because they are absolutely... You know what? I'm going to look at... I have the record right here. Which, by the way, if you've seen the cover, like, digital versions, like, even just looking at this does not do it justice. It looks so good in person. We have Charlie Anderson, obviously. He is a phenomenal violin player, and his compositions on this album are breathtaking. He does a lot of the string arrangements as well. A lot of the string arrangement and composition. And we have Patrick Urban on cello, and he also takes part in this string composition and arrangement. Both of them did phenomenal work. Austin, though, he just has an ear for talented musicians. He always works with the absolute best of the best. There are a lot of additional vocalists on this album that do fantastic jobs. There's choirs. The choir is so good. I'll just put here's all the additional people. They deserve credit too. I can't mention all of them because this video will be absolutely forever if I mention every single aspect. But yeah, this is my favorite album of the year. Every single song I love. I absolutely love every single song, and the shortest song on this album is nearly 10 minutes. The longest song is like right at 20. And yet, even with the songs being so long, I don't think I could trim this album down any. For one thing, Austin Lunn is a master of atmosphere. I have never heard a band nail atmosphere as well as Panopticon. This album absolutely encapsulates the feeling of winter. The awe, the beauty, and the, I don't know, kind of like, I guess the themes of the album, which are kind of about, like, growing old. It's an album about dealing with growing old, but it's done in metaphor, with a lot of lyrics about nature. So it's a double meaning album. It's about nature, and it's about coming to terms with growing old and death in a way. It is an absolutely phenomenal album, not just musically, not just in the performances and the atmosphere, but lyrically. It's really, really, really well done. I love stuff like that has a double meaning, and he really did a great job of composing lyrics where you can take it at face value, or you can pretty easily dig into it and understand what he's saying. It is great. It is absolutely great. I love the album. I could sit here and talk absolutely forever about it, but I'm sure this video is already way too long, so I apologize for that. Yeah, Panopticon, The Rime of Memory, my favorite album of 2023. That was my list. Here on screen, when I am done talking, I will show my full top 100. So feel free to pause and check that out. See if there's anything else that catches your fancy, or anything that you like you might see in there. And oh yeah, hey, we both like the same stuff, so maybe I should subscribe. Haha. Actually, yeah, if you want to subscribe, that'd be great. This might be the first video going up on this channel. I used to do music reviews on a different channel, but I was never happy with them. So new channel here. Me and my brothers, Matt and Tim, will both be on here doing stuff related to music, movies, and video games, hence the name WHD Media. And we have another channel called Wheat Hands Dragon. Yeah, that's the name. So that's where the WHD comes from. But this channel, we wanted to be a little bit more serious than the more jokey stuff that we do over there. There will be jokey stuff here probably too, but not full-on weird meme videos. The video's over. Here's the full list. Thank you for watching. I appreciate every single view. Oh, don't forget to comment what you liked out of this year, or last year, I guess, 2023. What are your favorite albums? Give me lists below. I want to find some more stuff to check out and be like, man, I wish I had included that in the video. Anyway, thank you. Goodbye. I'm gonna go eat now.